Chapter 58. The Counterfeit Crown Claims the Holy Land. Trey knows Allegory Chronicles. The prophecy the dragon tried to rewrite the Father had declared long ago. A people shall return to the land I gave their ancestors. But the shadow heard this prophecy too. And from the days of King Bulan, from the moment he adopted an identity not his own, the dragon began weaving a plan. If you cannot destroy the chosen, replace them. Bulan's decision created a counterfeit lineage, a shadow claim to Israel's heritage. For centuries it drifted through Europe, adopting customs, shaping cultures, gaining influence, gaining legitimacy. And when the world reached the brink of collapse after World War II, the dragon whispered to nations hungry for guilt and peace, "Now, crown the counterfeit." The world after the beast, a perfect stage for deception. The Holocaust had torn Europe apart, millions murdered, nations shattered, empires humbled, and while light mourned the victims of Nazi terror, the shadow saw opportunity. The world was desperate to repair itself, to heal, to pretend it understood justice into this chaos. The children of shadow stepped forward with a solution. Give us the land of prophecy. Give us Israel. Europe, drowning in guilt, agreed too quickly. America, rising as the new empire, saw strategic value. Britain, exhausted from war, handed the land over like a fading king relinquishing an unwanted crown. No one asked, are these the true heirs? Is this prophecy or politics? Are we witnessing restoration or replacement? The dragon ensured these questions remained unspoken. The land without a voice. For generations, the original inhabitants of the land, Arab tribes, Hebrew-descended villagers, ancient Christians and Palestinians, had lived under Ottoman rule, then British rule, always overlooked, always unconsulted. Now the world discussed their homeland like merchants bargaining over spices. The United Nations carved the land as if slicing a map was slicing bread. Yet prophecy is not fulfilled by signatures and treaties. The children of light wrote, when nations divide the sacred for political gain, the land itself cries out. In 1947, few listened. The counterfeit crown claims the throne, the descendants of Bulan's ancient decision. The scatter identity forged in Khazaria had risen to global power in European banking houses, in Western universities, in political movements, in elite intellectual circles. Not all were malign, not all knew their origins. But the identity they carried, an adopted mantle born from Bulan's choice, became the passport to the Holy Land. Thus the shadow claim stood at the gates of Israel, with documents crafted from centuries of confusion. The dragon whispered, take the name, take the land, take the prophecy. And the world opened the door. The true heirs scattered across the earth, while false heirs approached the land, the true descendants of ancient Israel, those carrying bloodlines from the African Hebrew tribes, the dispersed Semitic peoples, the descendants of Shem scattered by slavery. The original Israelites carried across oceans in chains were nowhere near the borders of the land they were in. America's Jim Crow South, the Caribbean islands, Brazil's forgotten plantations, West African villages, the diaspora swallowed by colonization. They had no armies, no political backing, no seat in the United Nations, no world power advocating for their return. They possessed only what the Father had given: blood memory, spiritual identity, covenant in their bones. But in 1947, the world ignored this truth because the world had forgotten what the Father never did. Identity is not inherited through politics, but through purpose.
They Britain's final act of identity confusion. Britain, the empire shaped by hidden bloodlines. And a master of identity manipulation played its last colonial card. Exhausted from war, but unwilling to lose influence in the Middle East, Britain handed the land to the United Nations, knowing the outcome was predetermined. A state crafted from European interests, disguised as biblical fulfillment. This was not restoration. This was geopolitics. This was the crown passing the mantle to the counterfeit heirs it had indirectly shaped through centuries of manipulation. The shadow bowed in triumph. The counterfeit will sit where the covenant belongs. I, the creation of the modern state of Israel, a mirror, not the original, on May 14, 1914, 1948. The world announced, Israel is reborn. But heaven whispered, not yet, for what rose that day was a political state, a European-built project, a geopolitical strategy, a new front for Western influence, a mirror of Israel. Not the original, not the true gathering of covenant heirs, the children of light wrote. Prophecy fulfilled by man is prophecy distorted. The dragon smiled, for the confusion begun in Khazaria had now reached its climax. Beneath the land reacts to the counterfeit. The Middle East erupted immediately. Wars ignited. Neighbors resisted. Refugees fled by the hundreds of thousands. Ancient communities were uprooted. This chaos was not coincidence. It was the land responding to the counterfeit crown, for the land of Israel recognizes those who belong to it and those who do not. The dragon fed on the conflict, conflict fed on identity, identity fed on confusion. The cycle Bulin began, now echoed across nations. What this sets in motion. The events of 1947, 48 unleashed a new age. Endless conflict in the Middle East. Alliances built on deception. Global religious confusion. The rise of Zionism as political theology. Cold War manipulation of prophecy. Displacement of original inhabitants. Suppression of true Hebrew descendants. And a worldwide battle for the definition of Israel. But prophecy is not finished. For the Father sees the true lineage. The Father knows the children of covenant. The Father watches the counterfeit throne. And the Chronicles declare, when the age of revelation arrives, the land will return to its rightful heirs, not by war, not by empire, not by politics, but by light. And light will expose counterfeit lineage, the way dawn exposes shadows. The dragon's counterfeit has taken the stage, but the true heirs are awakening. History is not over. Identity has not spoken its final word. The next chapters will reveal what the world tried to hide.